Hello, everybody. Welcome to the class BMN 521 Buddhist Terminology. Today is March 13th, 2023. This is the 8th session, 8th week. And remember, next week we'll be having the final exam. So this is the last class before the final. Hope everyone is doing great. And then we start today's class. As in the schedule, today's topic is on Buddhist terminology on liberation, enlightenment. You have heard these words. In any given religion, the final or ultimate goal is to attain higher status. The state that we are in is not happy or not perfect. So in any religion, they discuss about a higher state, ultimate goal, everlasting happiness or something like that. So it has to be something permanent, which is above the existing conditions, existing life. So that's why it's called, sometimes it's referred to as beyond this world. Beyond this world, so it's not in in this realm. It's a different realm. In any religion, that is how it is described. So in Buddhism, as you may know, the Buddhist goal, ultimate goal, is to attain. Yes, what is it? Ultimate goal is to attain nirvana. Nirvana in Sanskrit. Sanskrit word is nirvana. Pali term is nibbana. Same thing. Nibbana and nirvana. Same thing. That is the final goal, ultimate goal of practicing Buddhism. And nowadays it has become a term, English term. In here in the America, you know that there's a famous musical group, Nirvana. So that word has become so popular, so common in our day-to-day language, just like karma we saw in earlier class. So Nirvana, or the we use a English term, samam bonam. Samam bonam of Buddhism is nirvana, attaining nirvana. Samam bonam is the highest goal. So how are we going to deal with these things? In the sense that when we are translating Buddhist ultimate goal into English language, what terms are we going to use? What terms have the scholars been using over the last centuries to recognize the Buddhist liberation? That's the area that we are going to discuss today. So very first thing that I need to mention is that you know that in Buddhism, in the Buddha's life story, the Buddha attained something under the Bodhi tree. What do we call it? Buddha attained, we can call nirvana, or we use another English term. The Buddha attained enlightenment. So nirvana is identified in the Buddhist, in the English terms as enlightenment. awakening, another word. Buddha awoke under the Bodhi tree. Awakening or enlightenment. When you say enlightenment or awakening, it means that you were in sleep and suddenly you awoke. You awoke to the reality, that kind of idea. Buddhist terminology, excuse me. In Buddhist terminology, then the liberation of Buddhism or the final goal of Buddhism is, you can say in one term, attaining enlightenment. Same thing as attaining nirvana or nibbana. And in English translations, in English terminology, we do use different terms, technical terms to identify this higher status of mind called nirvana or nibbana. Sometimes it is referred to as the peace. Peace is a common term, you know, peace of mind. Sometimes it is referred to as peace of mind and ultimate happiness, bliss. Ultimate bliss or ultimate happiness. They are regular terms that we use in English language to identify the liberation experience. So how do we attain it? We have seen in other classes also that after following the Eightfold Path, Noble Eightfold Path, the result is, excuse me, the result is that you attain that higher status. That status is a peace of mind, a bliss, happiness. Those types of terms we usually use to identify that enlightenment experience. And in Buddhist texts, you find many arahants. You know the word arahants already. Enlightened beings, the people who have attained that status. People who have attained that status are called arahants or the Buddha. Buddha himself is also a being who has attained nibbana. Buddha and his disciples who attain nirvana is called arahants. So the people who are liberated, who are free from suffering, who are away from the cycle of birth and death, they are referred to as arahants, enlightened beings, enlightened persons. So these are the terms that we use in this when we are going to talk about the Buddhist liberation experience. And in the history, in the text, there are many Buddhist monks and nuns who attained the supreme bliss of Nibbana. That's also the way it is being translated. Supreme bliss of Nirvana. Freedom, another good word that they use. Freedom from suffering. See, all these things are used to explain that experience. So the people who have the arahant, who attained enlightenment, who attained nirvana, who attained freedom from suffering, who attained the ultimate bliss, they have expressed their views, their experience in their own words. In the text, you see that they explained how they felt after attaining the enlightenment. The amount of peace that they enjoyed, the amount of happiness, bliss, and release, another word, release. All these terms they use, they explain how relaxed, how free they are, and things like that. So in Buddhist circle, liberation or final goal is identified as happiness, freedom, peace, something like that. And also, very important thing, Nibbana, the word, literal meaning of the word Nibbana is, there are many, but one is extinction. Remember, this is very important. Extinction. What do you mean by extinction? It's like when there is fire burning. Fire, when there is fire, a lot of heat and burning. When the fire extincts, when the fire becomes extinct, what is available? Coolness, right? Fire is no more, heat is no more, so it's cool. So Nibbana means extinction. Extinction from what? Extinction from the defilements. Basic three defilements, raga, dosha, and moha. Greed, hatred, and delusion. So we are in fire with these things. That's how the analogy goes. The idea is that we are in fire with greed, hatred, and delusion. These three things are taken as the cause for our suffering. So always, every moment, we are in heated, or we are in fire, on fire because of this fuel. You know, in order to have a fire, you need to have some fuel. So fuel in ourselves are these three things. Greed, we have a lot of greed, desire. So we are in fire, always burning. that type of idea. And hatred, we have hatred towards many things. Sometimes you hate yourself too, right? You have hatred towards many things. You do not like to mingle with unhappy people, hate. And you do not like to be in desperate situations. You hate them. So hatred is always there, fire. And then delusion. We are in, we cannot understand things as they are. So then we are in kind of, what do you call, the ignorance, unable to understand things. That's also a sort of fire. So these three fires are burning in us always. So liberation, according to Buddhism, is to be away from this fire. To be away means completely extinct these fires. So complete extinction of hatred, desire, and delusion is called Nibbana. Understand now? So Nibbana, according to Buddhism, in Buddhist terms, is the complete cessation of fire. Complete cessation. Another word, cessation, stop. Complete cessation of desire, complete cessation of hatred, complete cessation of ignorance. That is Nibbana. So in terminology, in English terminology, those terms are usually used to recognize this experience, to explain this status of mind. And I'm talking about the early Buddhism, but later in Japan and in other countries also, this same idea was developed according to their cultures. So they used Nibbana. They in Japanese, in Zen Buddhism, they call it Satori, attainment of bliss, attainment of happiness, cessation of suffering. These things. So that is how in Buddhism the ultimate goal is explained. But in other religions, if you are familiar with the other religions, in Christianity and Catholicism, their goal is to be united with the higher power, with the God or something, right? And in Hinduism, Brahmanism, the highest goal is to be with the Brahman. Brahman is the superpower, and your goal is to be united with that superpower, Brahman. That is the ultimate release, ultimate goal, ultimate happiness, ultimate peace. But in Buddhism, the same thing, same words are used, but it is the complete cessation of defilements. You know the word defilements, right? So, and that is how the context in which Buddhist liberation is described. So when we translate this term into English jargon, English usage, the technical terminology that we use is those words that we just mentioned: extinction, release, peace, happiness, bliss. Sometimes now the word Nibbana or Nirvana has itself become the English term. So we use the exact same term because now it is so popular, so common. Most of the people, they understand what it means. So that term itself has become a technical term in English language. So that's the idea. That's all what I wanted to say today. And then do a little research on this thing, Buddhist liberation. What is it? The terminology related to Buddhist liberation. And then you can get a clear picture of the subject based on my lecture here. That's it for today. And if you have any questions, please ask me. And remember, next week will be the final. So get ready for the final. You won't be getting questions from, you will be getting questions on what we did in the class. So get ready for the final. That's it for today. Thank you very much and have a wonderful week. Thank you.